All right. Shalom, family. It's your brother Kaniba coming at you once again with this video titled, Israelite Men, Wisdom Will Keep Your Family in Order. So, of course, we live in a society that demonizes patriarchy, right? It tries to downplay the role that the father plays within the family, okay? To the point where they want the father out of the family, okay? And that's especially true dealing with Israelite families, okay? They don't want the black father in the household. They don't want the Hispanic father in the household or the Native American father in the household, okay? But, you know, it's overall, it's an attack on masculinity in general, but the focus is the Israelite man, okay? Because he is the image and glory of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, okay? But if they can't keep the man out of the household, they want him to be out of order within the household, okay? That's why you have different commercials or different television sitcoms that pretty much portrays the father as a bumbling, fumbling idiot, okay? A buffoon. All right. If the father is in the household, they want a whole bunch of Homer Simpsons within the household, right? And what that does, it has a trickle down effect on the whole family. All right. They would rather the father not be there because it's easier to indoctrinate the woman. OK, and in essence, if the woman is indoctrinated, of course, the children are going to be indoctrinated with whatever doctrine they want to teach them. Okay. But if the father is there, like I said, they want him out of order. All right. They want a more matriarchal type of deal going on in the household. All right. So what I want to do, I want to go into the scriptures and actually show that trickle down effect. Okay. Because as Israelite men, we have to possess that wisdom to keep our households in check, to keep our households in order. All right. That's what wisdom does for us. All right. So with that being said, let's get into the scriptures and get into the lesson. All right. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 15. And it reads, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." So we see towards the beginning of the verse, it says, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, right? So what this is going into is letting you know that there's a clause here, okay? If you don't listen to the Most High Yahweh, and if you break his commandments, something is going to happen. And what's going to happen? Let's look at the end of the verse. It says that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So when you're dealing with Deuteronomy chapter 28, verses 15 all the way to the end of the chapter, which is verse 68, you have a laundry list of curses that will come upon the children of Israel for breaking the law, statutes, and commandments that the Most High God gave them through the prophet Moses. Okay? And what you're going to find out is these curses are a sign as to who the children of Israel are. Okay? So now I want to shed light on a specific curse in Deuteronomy 28 that actually goes right into this lesson. All right? Let's take a look. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 54. And it reads, "So that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave." Okay, so I want to pay close attention towards the end of the verse. where it says that the man that's tender among you, his eye shall turn evil towards the wife of his bosom. Okay? People wonder why the relationship between black men and black women, Hispanic men, Hispanic women, Native American men, Native American women, why those relationships tend to fail most of the time. Why do we have such a big problem amongst the men and women within those communities? Why is that? Why do we have such a hard time keeping that relationship together? I'll tell you why. It's because these curses are upon us, okay, for breaking the laws, statutes, and commandments that God gave us, okay? And until we actually return back to our culture, which is the law, statutes, and commandments that was given us, the relationships is not going to work between black men and black women, Hispanic men, Hispanic women, Native American men, Native American women. Those relationships are not going to work until we return back to the laws that was given us, okay? Not saying that these things are not prominent within other people's cultures, okay, other races, but it's more of an epidemic with our people because we are the children of Israel that these curses are upon, okay? Now, looking at the very end of the verse, it says that the man that's tender among you and very delicate, that his eye shall also turn evil toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. So what is that going into? That's going into single parent households, single mother households to be exact, okay? This is an epidemic amongst blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, okay? Not saying that this doesn't happen amongst other races, but it's more prominent with us, okay? Single mother households. And this is a sure sign that we are the children of Israel, okay? But the point being is this actually goes right into the lesson, okay? That household not being in order because the man either not being there or what we're about to go into, him lacking the wisdom to actually keep the household intact. Okay? This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3 and verse 11. And it reads, "For whoso despiseth wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain. Their labors unfruitful, and their works unprofitable." Okay, so what I want to do, I want to focus on the beginning of the verse. It says, "For whoso despiseth wisdom and nurture." Okay, that's the topic right now. The man that despises wisdom and nurture. Okay, so first, let's get into this word nurture. Okay, let's get the definition on that before we even move on. Okay, let's take a look. All right, so this is a quick Google search on the definition for the word nurture. And the first definition, the verb, says this. It says, care for and encourage the growth or development of. Okay, that's the verb. Okay, to care for and encourage the growth or development of. Okay, so how would this apply to the lesson? Okay, first of all, you as a man, okay, you are supposed to care for and encourage the growth and development of the family. Okay, you can't despise this. Okay, this is something you are supposed to be encouraging. Okay, now let's get the noun. And it says, the process of caring for and encouraging the growth or development of someone or something. Okay, so again, it still applies. You are supposed to be encouraging the growth and development of someone or something. Now, who is that someone you're supposed to be encouraging this quality in? Okay, nurture, to care for. Okay, you're supposed to be encouraging this in your wife. Okay, not saying that you as a man can't have this as well. Okay, you're supposed to have a certain element of nurturing as well. But we know that being nurturing, that's just something that inherently is in women. Okay, that's something they're supposed to be just naturally. Okay, and you are supposed to be encouraging this within your wife. Okay, you're not supposed to be somebody that despises nurture, as the scripture says. Okay, because the more nurturing the wife is, the more that she operates within her femininity, the more peace you're going to have in your household. The happier you're going to be as a husband, and the more orderly the family is going to be as well. Okay? So now let's go back to the scriptures and read that verse again. All right? This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3 and verse 11 again. And it reads, "For whoso despiseth wisdom and nurture." Now let's deal with this part. Wisdom. Okay? Why would any man despise wisdom? That just makes no sense to me. Wisdom is one of the most important things that you can have as a man. And if you don't have that, you cannot lead your family properly. Okay, you really can't lead them at all. All right, let's take a look at this. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 4 and verse 7. And it reads, "Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom. And with all thy getting, get understanding." Right. So the beginning of the verse says wisdom is the principal thing. Meaning what? It's of the utmost importance. Okay? It's the principal thing. All right? So this goes back to the previous verse. Why would any man despise wisdom? Wisdom is the principal thing. Then dealing within the family, it's the principal thing for you to be able to lead. Okay, how can you lead anyone without wisdom? Why would you despise that? Okay, you're supposed to be studying to show yourself approved so you can gain that wisdom to lead your family. Okay, amongst other things. So you can go out and teach the nation as well. But this lesson is dealing with the family. All right. So wisdom is the principal thing. You're not supposed to despise it. All right. Because remember, when dealing with the word nurture, it means you're supposed to care for the growth and development of someone. And we already said that being your wife, or something, that being the family as a whole. Okay, you're supposed to care about the growth and development of the family. And ultimately, that growth and development means what? You care about your family making it to the kingdom. All right, which goes right into wisdom. The scriptures tell us what in the Wisdom of Solomon? That the desire of wisdom leadeth to a kingdom. You see how all that lines up? So you cannot despise wisdom, and you cannot despise nurture as well. Okay? Now let's take a look at this. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 33 and verse 6. And it reads, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure." Right. So what does the beginning of the verse start off saying? That wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. So we know that men are supposed to bring order and stability into the lives of women and the family as a whole, okay? The family unit, okay? We are the ones that's supposed to bring stability. Well, okay. The verse here says that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, right? So how can you bring stability to your family as a man if you don't have wisdom and knowledge? Okay, if you despise wisdom, as the verse says in Wisdom of Solomon, the 3rd chapter, if you despise wisdom, how can you bring stability to your family? Okay, it makes no sense, right? So wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. Then it goes on to say, and strength of salvation. There again, Wisdom of Solomon chapter 6 tells us what? That the desire of wisdom bringeth to a kingdom. Okay, salvation. All right, you can't lead your family to salvation if you don't have wisdom. Okay, it's very simple. So now let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and pick up where we left off at. All right, this is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and verse 12, and it reads, their wives are foolish and their children wicked. Right, so the beginning of the verse says that their wives are foolish. Now, what was the topic at hand? The topic was the man that despised wisdom and nurture. So now we see why the wives are foolish. It's a trickle-down effect. If the husband despises wisdom and nurture, then that means that the wife is going to be foolish because the husband doesn't have any wisdom to teach her. Okay? He despises nurture, meaning she's not going to operate in her femininity. Make sense? Okay, this is why the wife is foolish. Okay, let's take a look at this. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 26 and verse 14, and it reads, a silent and loving woman is a gift of the Lord, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. Okay, so I want to pay attention to the end of the verse. The end of the verse says, and there is nothing so much worth as a mind well instructed. Okay, a woman that can learn, who has humbled herself to the point that she is willing to learn. Okay, and she does learn. Okay, she has a mind that's well instructed. But here's the issue. How can a wife have a well instructed mind if you despise wisdom and don't have anything to teach her? Make that make sense. This is why we see the trickle-down effect in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3. Remember, the man, the husband, he despises wisdom and nurture. Okay? Then the very next verse goes on to say what? That the wife is foolish. Okay? Because he despises wisdom. Okay? This particular wife that's foolish, she doesn't have a mind that's well instructed because the husband despises wisdom. All right, let's take a look at this. This is Proverbs chapter 31 and verse 26, and it reads, she openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. Now you see, this goes perfectly with what we've read in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3. Notice it says she openeth her mouth with wisdom. Okay, this is a woman who has a mind that's well instructed. Okay, she's being taught of her husband. Okay, and again, when I say a mind well instructed, I'm not talking about being instructed from Esau's college. Okay, from getting a college degree. The wisdom of this world is pure foolishness. Okay, it's foolishness to God. Okay, so it's not talking about being well instructed from some college. Okay, that's not it. When I say a mind well instructed, it's talking about being taught from your husband. Okay, but in order for your husband to teach you, he has to have wisdom. He cannot despise wisdom. All right. Then the end of the verse goes on to say, in her tongue is the law of kindness, which goes into what? Nurture. Okay. This woman, this virtuous woman, she has a husband that does not despise wisdom and nurture. Okay. He encourages this within her. Okay. Now let's go back to Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and pick back up where we left off at. All right. This is Wisdom of Solomon chapter 3 and verse 12. And it reads, their wives are foolish. And we just saw why. Now watch this. And their children wicked. Okay. Now we see more of the trickle down effect. Okay. Because the husband despises wisdom and nurture, that trickled down to the wife, making her foolish, right? And now, because the wife is foolish, now the children are wicked. Why? Because normally a child's first teacher is his mother. Okay? But if the mother is foolish, if she doesn't have anything to teach the child is going to come out wicked. Okay? And the mother doesn't have anything to teach the child because the husband is not teaching her because he despises wisdom. Do you not see the trickle down effect? Okay? And this is why Esau wants to take the Israelite man out of the household. Okay, to cause this type of dysfunction so he can indoctrinate the woman and the children any way that he pleases. Okay, Esau is the devil. All right, now let's take a look at this. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 6. And it reads, train up a child in the way he should go. And when he is old, he will not depart from it. Okay. We are supposed to train up our children in the way that they should go. And we know that way ultimately is in the laws, statutes, and commandments. Okay. You're supposed to teach your child to walk in the footsteps of Yahushua. Okay. That's the way that we supposed to go. That straight and narrow path. All right. But if the wife is foolish, how can she train up that child in the way that it should go? Okay, you got to think about these things. But now, let's put more focus on the husband, because we know that the wife is usually the child's first teacher. We know that. But that's not saying that the husband is not supposed to be teaching the children. He's supposed to be teaching them too. Okay, so now that leads us to the next verse. Let's take a look at this. This is Ecclesiasticus, chapter 30 and verse 3. And it reads, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Right. So the beginning of the verse says, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy. Now, question. Who is our enemy today? Let me give you a hint. When you go back to those curses in Deuteronomy 28, the very last verse, the last curse, it talks about how the children of Israel would go into slavery by way of ships. And once we get to our destination, that we shall be sold to our enemies. Who are we sold to? Okay, we were sold to the children of Edom, today known as the white man, the Caucasian man. Okay, this is Esau. So when you teach your son, okay, when you give them that wisdom, that grieves the enemy. That's why he wants you out of the household, Israelite man. Okay, because they want to indoctrinate the child the way they want the child indoctrinated. Okay, that's why they want dysfunction in the home. They want broken homes. Okay, they don't want you there at all. But if you are there, they want you to despise wisdom and nurture. They want a bunch of Homer Simpsons in the home. Okay, they want you to be a bumbling and fumbling idiot. They want you to be weak, and they want you to be under your wife. That's what they promote, because they don't want you there giving wisdom to the family. Okay, it grieves them when you teach your children, when you teach your sons especially, because you're raising up more strong Israelite men. All right. When you're there to teach your son, guess what happens? Suddenly, the black on black crime goes down. The gang violence goes down. Suddenly, you stop seeing men in skirts and dresses, because the husband and the father is there to correct that child when he sees him going off. Okay, you're gonna correct him. You're gonna give him the rod of correction. The scriptures tell you, if you spare the rod, you will spoil the child. This is what the father is supposed to be there for. Okay. Now that correction can come in the form of wisdom. Okay, just simply teaching the child, okay, that's not what you're supposed to do. And you go into the scriptures and tell them why you're not supposed to do that. But that correction can come in the form of a belt. Getting a whooping. Okay? Nothing wrong with that. You're supposed to do that if need be. But the point is, it grieves our enemy. It grieves Esau when you actually teach your son, when you teach all your children, your daughters too. Okay? But the verse is specifically talking about the son, right? So we don't want that trickle down effect. Okay, you cannot despise wisdom and nurture. All right. So with that being said, I think this is a good place to end this particular lesson. Again, the title of this video is Israelite Men. Wisdom will keep your family in order. Okay. And we have to be aware of the devices of the enemy. Okay. Again, Esau, he wants to get you out of the household, Israelite man. Or if you're there, he just wants you to be an idiot. A man without wisdom that has nothing to teach the family. Okay. They want the woman as the head of the family. And that setup is destined for disaster. Okay. The woman is not set up to lead, period. Okay. That's your job, Israelite man. All right. But with that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And until next time, Shalom, family.